everywhere you look, there are potential great photographs. The point is that there are pictures everywhere. Every environment you walk into, there is a photo you can take. Often when I do shoots, people say, this is where it has to happen, and you've got 2 minutes. And it's actually really liberating because it takes away all those other possibilities, all those other things you could do. You say, okay, I've got to make the most of this now. And that's what I'd like you to do with your pictures. Make the most of what you've got, because there are great photographs everywhere. What I pride myself on now in my work is this ability to walk into anywhere and find a picture. You know, there is no bad light. As long as there is light there, you can work with it. I walk into a room or, a location of some sort, and the first thing I think is, this has all been given to me. It's something I picked up from working on movie sets. You walk into a movie set, you become aware that every single thing in that environment is deliberate. It's all been placed or rented or made or bought. It's been drawn up by set designers, prop masters have filled it, and then directors of photography have placed the light around the room so it's perfect for the film. And that experience has sort of taught me a little trick that I do whenever I'm photographing in real environments. I go in and I notice where the light is coming from. So I'll look at where the windows are, where the sun is in relation to the windows. If it's going to be a long shoot, which direction the sun's going to move in. I will look at what's in the room. If it's someone's room, I love that, because then now I can see what books they read, what art they like or don't like. You walk into someone's home and it's just white and shiny surfaces, and that says something about that kind of person, how tidy they are or messy. Often I take pictures in hotel rooms, and there the environment is sort of a stark contrast to the person, or sometimes it helps to sort of build the character. There's a photo I took of Adam Driver at the Cannes Film Festival where in the living room was this portrait of, I think it was a leopard above a sofa, and it was actually Adam's idea, but he was like, look at that, how old is that? So we just sort of sat him in front of the leopard painting, and it sort of adds a sort of grandeur and a sort of animalistic element to the picture, but also a bit of tongue-in-cheek sort of wrongness as well. So I'm looking at furniture, carpets, what's on the walls, what ambient light is also going on in the room. Is there a chandelier on? Are there bedside tables? Is there a neon light? Is it nighttime? Therefore, is there moonlight? Is there street light? Sometimes I've lit pictures just from the light of a television. You're in a totally dark room, it's just the TV people are watching, or their phone even. The amount of glow you get off a phone at night when someone's reading it can be a lovely light. So you look at all these different things, but you make these calculations. You don't make them in the order that we may talk about them in a course. You make them all at the same time. And often, if I'm not waiting for someone, often I walk in, they're ready, and I've got to make it happen there and then, which is my favourite way to work. And then you're making all these calculations in fractions of seconds. There's an immediacy to my photos that I'm taking now, which is more evident than they were 5 years ago. And I think part of that is that I don't go in and recce before. I'll just go in and see it all fresh when we're shooting. Now, that's not particularly usual, and it's probably not very professional either, but it is how I like to work. Like, I enjoy having a very short amount of time to produce a picture. I quite enjoy knowing that I've got 3 minutes, and I'm like, really, if I can have 3 minutes of your attention, I can get a shitload of pictures. And I sort of work on that idea, because otherwise, a lot of photo shoots, you have people, they stand around, someone puts up a tripod, they're looking at things, they're taking light readings, they're doing all this stuff that's sort of the job of a photographer. But actually, all it does, in my opinion, is slow you down. Back in the day when people were shooting film and you had, there was only so much latitude in the film and you had to have your exposure perfect. But nowadays, it's just not necessary. Digital's so good. Automatic is so good, and you can override it so quickly. Autofocus is so good. So I just like to go in and just say, give me 3 minutes of energy and I will get a cool picture. Because sometimes you can walk into a room and the light is just perfect and someone's having hair and makeup done, and 20 minutes later when they're ready, the sun's just dropped off the point and the light isn't there anymore. So I will often use that and go, guys, I need her in 5 minutes or we're not going to get this picture. In fact, I did that the other week, didn't I? And we didn't get the picture. The other thing I do a lot is I look for frames within frames. I like to sort of place someone within some sort of a frame, possibly within the wider frame, that makes your eye go to the subject. It could be a doorway, it could be the panel of a car, it could be all sorts of, I suppose, frames everywhere that give you a background that highlights your subject against the rest of the picture. And once you start looking for these frames, you'll find they're everywhere. Picture frames, mirrors, doorways, garages. As you get into it more and more, you find all sorts. You might have a kid. Imagine a kid's running along with a kite, and the kite perfectly frames him. It could be that their head is framed by a puddle as you're looking down on them. I did a picture of Eddie Redmayne where I framed him in the vanishing point of a street, and yet he is completely framed by that road. There was a picture I took of Dakota Johnson, and she was driving me around Los Angeles in her old pickup truck, and there was the sort of frame of the window behind her and the frame of her glasses and the frame of the windscreen, and so she was sort of in these different frames, but at the same time not necessarily fitting them perfectly. It's not about, or for me, it's not about perfection. For me, often it's the imperfections that actually make a picture feel believable. Of course, I make all these decisions very quickly, but it is underpinned with a sort of ground knowledge of perspective, of vanishing point, of shapes that we know lead the eye, which are, I mean, they're not just the basics of photography, they're the basics of most art. So by that, it could be the vanishing point of a street or a long road. It could be horizons, looking out to sea and the depth of things. It could be when it's foggy and there's only so much you see, or when you see those beautiful mountainscapes. With each sort of layer of hills, the image gets less and less clear. And these are all things that we can use within our toolbox. I always think that the environment, whereas it is a sort of character within your photo, the main character for me is always the human character, or possibly the animal character, but it's a living, breathing character. And so as much as you want to be aware of your environment, aware of the shapes within it, aware of the frames within frames, the vanishing points, all this stuff, ultimately what I'm trying to help you achieve is a great photo of a person within that environment. So what you'll end up with is a portfolio of photographs that are just clever, thought through moments that are captured. And it's not like, oh, you just do sunsets, or you just do sport, or you just do photos of people sleeping. You just take really good photographs because you've made the most of each situation that you were in. So what I'd urge you to do is, as a bit of homework, is just to say, all right, I'm not going to spend forever looking for the right environment. I have to take a picture exactly where I am right now, and I've got to take the best picture I can in this environment that I'm in. So it could be a really boring classroom you're in, but that's it. You're not allowed to go out to the new cool building. You've got to stay in the grungy old classroom you're in and make a cool picture. Find the picture, find the shapes, find the vanishing points, find the angles, find the light, put your subject in it and take a cool picture and stop worrying about it.